My name is Stanley Lipadzi from the Water Research Commission, and I am going to chair this session this morning. Let me start by saying welcome to all of you, and we are actually having a very interesting schedule or the agenda items that we are going to go through. And maybe before I can go further, I should first maybe, when you are entering the building, to the right and go straight to where we were having our breakfast or our tea. So that's where our lunch will be. In case of fire, in case of some emergency, we need actually to go out the main door that we used, and there is an assembly point there. So those are the few things which are housekeeping that I want you actually to remember. Coming back to what we are here for, let me first acknowledge the presence of our leaders. I'll start with the leader from the Water Research Commission, indeed, who made us actually to be here. Dr. Mulwanda actually is here with us, and she will actually talk to us sooner. But our host as well. We also have our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Dr. Mzilikazi. She's actually going to talk to us. Amongst us as well, we have got Professor Nelson Adume. He will talk to us. He's the Director of Institute for Water Research, Rhodes University, and also Water Sisulu University is also represented by Professor Modi, who is the Executive Dean for the Faculty of Natural Sciences. And we also have Professor Oko, also the Director of the South African Medical Research Council Unit, Microbial Water Quality Monitoring Center from Fort Hare. Have a chance actually to listen to the speakers. The Eastern Cape indeed had challenges relating to climate change, relating to water. We almost actually, or let's say we always actually talk about Makhanda when we talk about water crisis, because you have always been the juice. It may be because of the water shortage. We've seen you struggling. We've seen you indeed in the media carrying bottles of water, going up the mountain or to fetch water from the springs. You have also experienced floods. You also experienced floods. So that's the reason why we are here today as stakeholders. And the DAWRC has moved around the country. We have been already in 5 provinces already. This includes the Northern Cape, the Northwest, the Mpumalanga, Limpopo. So this actually is the 5th one. So our mission is actually very clear. We would want actually to ensure that we talk about the strategic interventions that we can have to accelerate the improvement of water services and also some of the environmental problems that we really have. So that is the role of the DAWRC. We are also energized and propelled our mandate as the Water Research Commission to do that, because we also have the knowledge and also the tools that we have developed over years, and that must be used. So we need to share that knowledge and come up with those interventions to address those needs. It's also important that we collaborate as partners, as stakeholders, so that whatever challenge that they have been identified, our teams have been around here. They had what we call the Provincial engagement mission, and they've interacted with some of you already. So we have already gathered the intelligence. So today actually we'll try to find out how can we create opportunities and also come up with solutions for those problems that have been identified. And as I've mentioned, how can we really utilize the innovations or the tools that are already available to solve the problems that are in the Eastern Cape, including here in Makhanda. So without actually wasting much more time, I know you will get a lot of actually inputs and views from the speakers that are going to speak tonight, this morning. Let me call upon the DVC for Rhodes University, Tom Slickers, actually to give us the welcome remarks. Thank you so much. And I was told that we must keep this mic because people who are online, they're actually hearing us using it.
Okay, so I should not bring it to my mouth?
No, yeah, you can just leave it there. Yeah, you can leave it there.
Wish for me to do that? Okay. It's on?
It's on, but the news. Yeah, it's on. It's only going live.
Aha. Not in the room, but live. All right, thank you very much, Program Director. Please allow me to acknowledge the CEO of the Water Research Commission, Dr. Jennifer Mulantwa, who I have had the privilege of meeting a few moments ago, and she confirms that she is an alumnus of our university, having spent from first year all the way to PhD here at Rhodes University. So welcome to Rhodes University, where leaders learn. Professor Stanley Dipadzi, the Executive for Research, Development and Innovation at the Water Research Commission. Ms. Ndundu Sitole, Acting Executive for Stakeholder and Communications at the Water Research Commission. A friend of mine and a colleague, Professor Albert Modi, the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Natural Sciences at our sister university, Walter Sisulu University. The Department of Water and Sanitation Regional Head and team, officials from the Office of the Premier in the Eastern Cape, municipal mayors, officials and councillors, officials from COCTA, officials from Amatole Water, officials from the Eastern Cape Disaster Management Center, representatives from our sister universities, the University of Fort Hare, Nelson Mandela University, and Walter Sisulu University. Colleagues, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Makanda, to welcome you to Rhodes University. We are privileged to host this important event, which is aimed at strengthening strategic partnerships for the water sector in the Eastern Cape Province. Rhodes University has a long history of water research and of partnering with the Water Research Commission. And as part of profiling this history and the strengths around water research at Rhodes, from the mountains to the southern oceans and everything in between, the University Senate recently approved our institutional research themes, with water security being one of these themes. Not only signal the university's commitment towards water research, but indicates our intention to continue in the area well into the future. Our university strongly believes challenges facing our country, and indeed our province, can only be resolved through collective actions, wisdom, insights, and partnerships. It is for these reasons that we are delighted to host you for this important event. At this point, I should probably pause and say I recognize that it is quite cozy in here, and that is because we currently have student examinations, and all of our larger venues are taken up with student exams. So please bear with us, but I'm hoping that the setup will also help us to facilitate closer interactions and discussions. As we all know, water is essential to all life forms. This means that we have to strive for a balance between using water and protecting it, not only for the present generation, but also for future generations. Our municipalities are confronted by complex and often intersecting water challenges, such as aging infrastructure, theft, vandalism, systemic governance failures, non-collection of revenue, water, and many, many more, as Program Director already alluded to some of these. At the catchment level, water systems are also impacted by increasing water use, especially for agriculture, which sometimes come with pollution, and of course, we are faced with a changing climate. Droughts and floods have become very frequent. As you would know, we had devastating floods in our province during May this year. These are now frequent, and they compound already stressed water systems, impacting biodiversity, ecological health, and water services delivery. Over the years, we at Rhodes University have produced knowledge that has helped the sector to navigate some of these pressing and complex challenges. Our university is very active in the fields of water quality research, in hydrology, ecology, water governance, aquatic biodiversity, census development, water and public health, as well as water for food security. We have developed tools, models, systems, and processes that have contributed to how we manage water resources in this country, and you will hear more about this during Professor Adume's presentation. Program Director, at this point, please allow me to re-emphasize our commitment to fostering long-term strategic partnerships with the Water Research Commission and other partners in ways that accelerate research and innovation for the water sector. We believe that much of the challenges that we face and that confront the water sector cannot be resolved without research and innovation, but that this must be done in ways that recognize the unique value and the unique features and context of the Eastern Cape, moving us away from short-term piecemeal interventions to a more long-term and strategic approach. Whilst it is tempting for me to go on and on about the prowess of Rhodes University in the area of water research, it is also important to highlight that we do have formidable expertise in our partner institutions within the Eastern Cape. It is not uncommon for our universities to partner effectively with institutions from further afield, elsewhere in the country, and indeed with international partners, omitting to collaborate within the province. I therefore wish to commend the Water Research Commission for convening us in this way. This platform allows us to get real insights into the research that is happening in our backyard within Rhodes University, because sometimes we don't even speak effectively amongst ourselves internally, and of course within the province. It presents us with an opportunity to create a coherent and coordinated response. We can leverage each other's strengths and find areas of synergy and complementarity to address the enduring and stubborn water challenges that face us. I like to think of this approach as an ecosystem approach. We need to build a resilient ecosystem of research excellence in service of society, as my Mandela colleagues often say. We believe that long-term commitment on the part of funders, of universities, and other sector stakeholders is needed to resolve these challenges. Rhodes University stands ready as a reliable and formidable partner in this regard. We will continue to work with partners to generate usable knowledge in this regard. Once again, I welcome you to Rhodes University, I welcome you to Makanda, and I wish you a fruitful deliberation over the next 2 days. Take some time to explore our beautiful campus.
Thank you so much, DVC. but actually we are going to have time for engagement in the end. So I just want us to have our speakers actually give us more meat actually to chew. The next speaker is our CEO, the CEO of Water Research Commission, Dr. Mulaga, who's coming also to give us her opening remarks and setting the scene. Let's encourage you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to stand on the protocol that has already been observed, but mainly let me just start by saying it feels good to be back in Grahamstown. It feels good to be back. It was a lot, many meetings took place in these buildings, and yeah, it was exciting, still is, and I'm excited to be here. The DVC, Dr. Zilikasi, as well as Professor Odume, thank you very much for enabling us to convene this meeting here in Makanda, but also in Rhodes University. Really, the gesture is quite appreciated. I also acknowledge Professor Likasi, who is leading the WRC delegation of research managers, that will share with you today the work of the Water Research Commission. I also want to acknowledge Ms. Sitole, who's also Rhodes alumni, by the way, and Dr. Nankante is also, and also Dr. Nankante is also here. She's also one of our research managers. So, yeah, the seeds that were planted by Rhodes University have really, the seeds that were planted have gone through. So Dr. Likatsi for leading the delegation of the Water Research Commission, and Ms. Sitole for leading the stakeholder and comms, which is the people that have really ensured that we make it here. We acknowledge that the provincial government is here represented amongst us. The COCTA department, our mother department, that's the Department of Water and Sanitation. We have got with us colleagues from IMISA, from WISA, who are our partners in the water sector, but also want to recognize that there is representation from local government, from the different municipalities here in the Eastern Cape. The 4 universities spread across the length and breadth of the Eastern Cape, the TVET colleges, our innovators that have brought some of the research that we'd like to show the Roadshow, and all of you here today. It really means a lot. But in the main, you know, we're trying to not have a roadshow where we're going to have a talk show. For me, how I would like to see the outcomes of this engagement is that we need to come and say, as the WRC, we have got a stakeholder-centric strategy for the next 5 years that we'd like to implement, but in that we want to make sure that we're making a difference. We're not just funding research to produce papers, to produce students, which is your mandate as the University DVC, and publications, it's your mandate, but also we are saying from our side there has to be practical implementation, and there has to be impact in terms of all of that money spent in people and that are paying the water research levy, feeling the tangible difference that this makes. And for us, that is why we said, with our capability to convene different stakeholders, let us come here today and say, these are some of the research that we have utilized, that we have produced. And these are the roles that can be played in changing water security, water and sanitation, and in making a difference in society. And we say into local government, which is where the biggest challenge is felt by society, here are the opportunities to interact with universities as knowledge generators, with other sector partners to make sure that we not only pay lip service, but really do justice to what everybody talks about, from the president to even a child in grade R. They talk about evidence-based decision-making, but we don't seem to know what that is. And research, development, and innovation is critical for evidence-based decision-making, because then you would have tested and you would have said this works and try it out And as we demonstrate and as we implement, then we record, as scientists, we record the changes, and then we'll be able to say, does this work or not? And always we must remember, when things don't work, we don't have to continue doing them. Then we can be able to say, then what are the other options, what are the different scenarios we must look into? So that is where the Water Research Commission really to work in the Eastern Cape. I keep saying Western Cape, and study there or stay there or anything. So I hold no allegiance but to the Eastern Cape and Gauteng and Mpumalanga. So in terms of the roadshow, we're really wanting to try and announce strategic interventions to accelerate improvements in water services through research, development, and innovation. We want to share knowledge on our research outputs and also say how during our pre-engagements there were needs that were identified and how we have research products that can be able to share that. But also want to collaborate with partners on innovations, knowledge products, and enhanced service delivery. This engagement serves for us as a platform to empower municipalities with research-based tools developed through research, but also to learn from them around what are the key challenges and to go back to the research agenda and say, how do we then effectively respond to this? We know the challenge of the Makhanda municipalities everywhere, like Prof has said. But in discussion with the MM at one of the water indabas, she mentioned that, they've got a legacy of asbestos with pipes, water infrastructure. So we know that you can't replace it bit by bit, but then there isn't enough money. Then what are the options, Prof? We're saying, what are the options available? We know that there's groundwater. We know that there's other ways in which we could look at solving the same problem so that we do not have a situation where all this water that's treated goes, leaks, and then it becomes non-revenue water. How do we change the situation? It's very saddening to read about the university, which is one of the great water resource institutes in the country, also struggling with water. Everybody then looks at, oh, where are those leaders? And then people say, you are coming from home. They've got no water. I'm like, I don't have a helicopter to go, and just shower them with some water. So we know that some of the identified challenges include non-compliance of the municipalities around the blue, green, and no drop, and how do we then accelerate that? Tabo will talk about some of the innovations that we have, that we are demonstrating, that we are testing, because we know that as the Water Research Commission, prior to 2022, we were really known by the academic sector, but today we are saying that we are comfortable to say the footprint of South Africa knows who the Water Research Commission is. And some of our products, although still very scary because everybody thinks reports 300 pages, then we are here to talk about them and demonstrate. We have got also to look at ways in which we can enhance revenue collection, because that in the main is what is challenging municipalities around being able to effectively deliver services. There's also poor water conservation and demand management. And this is where we're always focusing issues around water security, wastage, and all of these things around poor people. But have you noted how people that can afford to use water use it as they will, not knowing that it has to be shared? Because they don't see the challenge and say, no, but I can afford it. But it's not about whether you can afford it, it's about it has to be equitably shared. And those are some of the behavioral changes that we want to instill. We need to talk through issues around fecal sludge management, challenges, knowing that all of our wastewater treatment wells have reached full capacity. We have a number of capacity building programs that we also want the universities to be able to access at the Water Research Commission. We've started a postdoc support system, but also we have said with the PhDs, the ones that are doing research, we are willing to also fund them, because this has to benefit us as the Water Research Commission, because we have to comply with triple PhDs, which then says how many young professors, innovators have you funded. So Prof, when you are doing 30% of the research, your student that does 70% of the can then apply to the Water Research Commission. We can fund them. When we fund them, that means that the student is benefiting, the university is producing a student, but also we are complying. So it's a good for everyone. But also, how do we develop the untapped much resource, which is groundwater? And those are some of the things that we want to talk to. We also acknowledge that there has been a lot of talk around drought, but then how do we think about managing the drought? In the time of climate change impact that we no longer talk about when climate change, we're saying now, during climate change. How do we start working? And I spoke to a colleague of mine yesterday. I said, can we talk about a strategic 50-year plan, water security and sustainability plan for 50 years for the Eastern Cape, wherein we look at all the different areas that we can be able to support the province. Because what happens, and I always give an example of KZN, when we had the flood, then the pipes were replaced. But they were replaced to the same size. With all of that money, we did not factor in climate, and that now we are actually seeing those 1 in 100 year floods. So we build them again to 1 in 100 years. And then the next flash came and they washed them away again. So how do we start transitioning and being the leader and pulling government to understand we cannot do things the same way that we've done. We have to change. So with those few, I'm hoping that this is going to be also not a classroom, but an interactive session where there's going to be discussions, there's going to be questions, so that we leave out of here with some outcome, tangible plan of thank you very much.
Thank you, C. I think you and the DVs, like you were thinking along the same lines. So, because she also talked about the water security theme actually being established in the university, but you want something broader than that. You want something bigger than that to cover the whole province. I think the university actually, or the stakeholders in the Eastern Cape are listening so that they can come up with that plan that
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning. It's always good to be in the Eastern Cape and also at Rhodes University. You can use the mic as well. Okay, thank you. All right. I see the CEO is not here. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do this morning, I have 10 minutes, and in 10 minutes you can't really talk a lot. So I have to caution myself, because as a teacher, we love talking, right? But I'm going to be quite brief. So what I want to share with you this morning is just to give you a bit of insight into what we are doing at Rhodes University in relation to responding to some of the critical water-related challenges in the Eastern Cape, but more generally across the country. You would have heard already from our DVC that water security is one of the approved institutional research themes for the university. So in addition to water security, we have nanotechnology innovation. And for some of you who may not know, Rhodes University is probably the smallest public university, actually, but also research intensive. So nanotechnology is one of the areas that has been approved by the University Senate, radio astronomy, drugs, health and society, environment, ecologies and economies, and sustainable education future. And then water security is really one of those areas. So I'm going to share with you how we are attempting to approach this idea of water security and positioning the university as a thought leader in the field of water security. Of course, we have a lot of history in the area of water research, but in ways that we respond to real-life challenges in the sector, we have to then position the university to respond to some of these areas. So at Rhodes University, in framing the water security research area and how we want to actually respond to that and the kind of research that the university is currently doing, we have done a national analysis by looking at various strategic documents in the sector, including the Water Research Commission, RODI, but also the National Water Resource Strategy 3 that was published in 2023, and the various national policy documents, such as the Water and Sanitation Master Plan, but also the Science and Technology Innovation and Decadal Plan, actually, that was published by the Department of DSI. But also at the regional level, especially at the Eastern Cape level, we've also consulted quite widely, looking at the Eastern Cape Vision 2030. Particular institutional research theme is going to respond to. We're very much aware of them. But beyond the municipality, we've taken a much broader approach to consultation. The Water Users Association, such as the Lower Sundays River Water User Association, we've been working with them quite closely. The Department of Water and Sanitation, engaging over the years and of consulting and of engaging various national and provincial documents, culminated into 5 research clusters, which we research into water services delivery. Then the third area is, don't forget, we are a university. So all of this is anchored by the notion of capacity strengthening and building. So when we're talking about emerging pollutants such as antimicrobial resistance genes in water, pharmaceuticals in water, EDCs in water. But actually, some of the legacy pollutants are still a problem that we still need to grapple with. But also, how do we protect and restore aquatic ecosystems, especially because we are a largely rural province? A lot of livelihoods are still intertwined with the natural resources. So how do we make sure that even as we use water resources, we still protect them in order to support livelihood, especially in the rural areas? And we've got a number of projects that some of them have just been concluded, others are still ongoing on campus in various spaces that are responding to some of these issues. And a lot of these projects are funded by the Water Research Commission, but others are also funded by other entities, both locally and internationally. So talking about biodiversity loss and water pollution and biodiversity loss, some of the project that we've been embarking on in this particular area is really trying to understand how much of antibiotic resistant genes and bacteria are in water and what is the risk that is posed by this to community that are dependent on these water resources. What is the risk that is posed to community, especially the agricultural sector, but also rural community that depends on these water resources. So there are projects that are ongoing on campus in various spaces that are addressing these issues. In water, we will talk about aging infrastructure that are not being replaced. Those are symptoms. The core issue relates to governance failure, systemic governance failure. So a lot of what we see are manifestation of those problems. So we need to be able to go to the heart of it and begin to ask, how do we strengthen water governance institutions, especially at municipal level? And here we've had a focus on equity, sustainability and efficiency, how this actually play out. So on the one hand, municipality has to recover cost in order to continue to deliver water services. On the other hand, you have to deliver your water in such a way that is equitable. So there is tension. What we're beginning to pick up in municipalities is that there is tension between, on the one hand, equity, on the other hand, efficiency, and the long-term sustainability. So we need to be able to work with municipality to resolve some of these issues. But also, smart technology and artificial intelligence. How do we harness the power of artificial intelligence, machine learning for cost modeling, tariff setting? So these are some of the issues that we've picked up, and we are responding to some of these issues. But also in the context of climate change, how do the area and what is it that needs to be put in place so that the municipality is better prepared for future droughts? Because of time, I'm not going to pace up here in water systems, and also trying to understand how we can develop decision support tool that can enable both those in the public health sector, in the water sector, especially in the veterinary environment, because usually when we talk about water, we don't think about the veterinary practitioners. How to support these people to develop tools for decision making in order to minimize the risk posed by the emergence of can feed the entire Southern Africa region, yet is not a net importer of food. Our idea here is that we have to take catchment as a complex socio-ecological systems where people and the ecosystems interact. And how do we strengthen catchment resilience to some of these risks, especially those that are related to climate change? And we have a number of projects that are looking at this area of catchment resilience to risk. Some of them have focused on rehabilitation of grassland systems after eradication of alien invasive species. Others are looking at the role and benefit of prioritizing of ecological infrastructure. So how do we prioritize ecological infrastructure to support livelihood, especially in the context of drought? Then finally, I'm almost done. Stanley, I know you are looking at the time very seriously, so I have 1 minute left. So the fifth area that I want to share light on is the idea of data. And it is only through this data then we can develop tools and 96 guidelines for South Africa. Water research at Rhodes University is founded on, one, the fact that our research agenda has to be community-driven. So a lot of the research program that I've presented is bottom-up. It has to be co-designed. So we're really now moving away from just a professor sitting in a lab, thinking about research questions, and then experimenting, and then publish papers. We now really to now move into society and say, what are the problems? How do we co-design these research projects together? But also capacity building with ATOS. So for a university, we have to train masters and PhD students, postdoc, but different kinds of capacity building as well to strengthen stakeholders and actors that we use these tools, this knowledge that we are developing. And then we are here because we believe in network formation, coalition building, and also social innovation. Thank you.
Representing the Provincial University. Get your presentation.
Just to check on the protocol, you said I must not move around, right?
No, you can move around using the mic.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. While she's loading, let me take advantage of using the time to greet you. My name is Albert Modi. I am from Walter Sisulu University. I also am very much attached to KwaZulu-Natal. So many people see my face and they see KwaZulu-Natal. And it's largely ordinary people. I want to greet everyone, and special thanks to the Water Research Commission. This is my third or fourth CEO that I'm interacting with at the Water Research Commission, believe it or not. So this commission has actually built my academic career. I was very excited to see the DVC. As she mentioned, we know each other back from KZN. I've seen a few people here from KZN as well. I think I saw 2 students. Before I even start talking, I want to acknowledge the fact that I'm here, our Vice Chancellor and the DVC for Research and Innovation, Professor Feza. Professor Cishe is the one who established an opportunity for us to be able to interact with the Water Research Commission. Many people know the vision and strategic alignment of each one of the universities. It is important for me, in the context of this meeting, that I highlight, particularly in basic sciences, we go to the rural areas, we collect data about water pollution, and we leave, and we can publish it in a very high impact factor journal. But we leave a social scientist behind, and that person could actually follow you and gather crucial information, particularly for policy making. Believe it or not, my high impact factor journal publication in Nature is going to. I only learned about the meaning of what poverty is after I graduated from university, because I did not know that there is poverty. I did not know there was food insecurity. My mother is a peasant who was left by my father. They never divorced. When I was 6 years old, I don't remember a time in my family when there were no goats and cattle. Umam Chawe made sure that there's that. We have 4 hectares of land that is used all the time in the Transkei, and that is dwindling now. Now that I'm an adult, at least 80% of that has been lost. Now, can you talk about transformation if you don't connect people to their culture of sustainable livelihoods? So that's one of the things that I believe we need to achieve. And of course, this multidisciplinary and community-driven approach is that context. And if we want people to be liberated, we must work with our municipalities. And now, in KZN, just from a research that started at honors level, we did research that showed that if a homestead has got 0.1 of a hectare, and they use it throughout the year, they can earn 11,000 rands after wastage. That's much more than the 350 rands that they get from government. And one of the things that we want to do is to influence young people to be part of this while they're at universities, okay? So I started something that is called Green Grow at WSU, and Green Grow is aimed at influencing young people while they're at university to think in a way that is going to assist this. I'm not going to spend too much time on what are the research niche areas, but I thought I should just quickly show you for a few seconds the research niche areas that are established by the university at the moment. And of course, this was described previously by the previous speakers, where the Landsberg Mountains and the Indian Ocean with 7 biomes for research is something that must be taken into account. I'm not going to repeat what I said about coming too soon. So in the next 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to just highlight what is actually happening in terms of the research. We have the National Pollution Laboratory that has a lot of work that it does, and what we actually currently do in our labs, as well as in the rural areas, is highlighted here. We also have a marine biology laboratory, and the marine biology laboratory also does this work. But in addition to it, we've marine, but we've got people who are doing work in aquaculture.